I built a vehicle bug out bag so when the grid collapses from a cyber attack or when they decide to create an abnormal weather event, I'm not going to be one of the ones that are left defenseless like a deer in the headlights. Things are building towards something. If you're watching this channel, you probably agree with me. You can feel it, I can feel it. So let's dig into a few items that you can add to your vehicle bug out bag that could potentially save you if things ever go south. Would that be okay? So first things first, your bug out bag or your vehicle needs a little planning, and everyone's going to be a little different based on your day-to-day environments. Some of you are in the Everglades of Florida, and that will be different setup than the person listening to this that is in northern Alaska, right? So my first question for you would be, day-to-day, where do you find yourself typically driving? Are you driving to work, school, grocery store, drop off kids to sports games, etc.? If you had to place a bet on where you would be on a random, say, Tuesday at 2 p.m., where would you find yourself? This is an important question because this would be the foundation of your bag. For example, the average American drives about 40 minutes to and from work, so let's say about 20 minutes from home. And let's say that's about 18 miles one way. This will obviously be different per person, but that would take an average person 6 to 8 hours to walk from their job to their home, and not including if things were chaotic. But this ain't an apple. This is an onion, baby. Layers to this. So if things are crazy enough that you can't just simply drive home, that means that tension is in the air and changing quick, and the unknowns will start to appear. So are you even safe to walk home? Are you in shape enough to even walk that distance? Do you know how to defend yourself if you cross paths with danger? What do you have for shelter, water, or food? These are not questions you want to be asking yourself during that time because quite frankly, it'll be too late.
You lose! Good day, sir!
So let's start with clothing. Most of you will probably be wearing some kind of uniform or dress code to some degree that you probably wear day to day, and you wouldn't want to find yourself walking a half marathon in. So having some sort of footwear that would be durable and comfortable for a long distance is an absolute must. Personally, I prefer some kind of hiking boot setup, but use what you have now and adapt your bag over time. So if you have one of those old pair of New Balances in the back of your closet, they'll be better than those dress shoes you wear. Definitely would want to switch that out in the future, but use what you have right now, right? One thing I do also is I will do some cardio in my current boots that I have as my go-to. And I started out by simply just kind of walking around the local parks to get a feel for them, to kind of break them in, and then I started doing longer and longer distances. I personally own a pair of Merrell boots, and I really like them so far, but if I were you, I would find a few that work for your situation, try them out at the store before buying them, and then wear those puppies in. Get used to them. I can't imagine not wearing them once until you absolutely have to, and then trying to wear brand new shoes for 18 miles. Blisters will be waiting for you, and that's just like best case scenario. And as dramatic as this is, that could be the difference of you making it to your destination or not. So find a pair of shoes that you like and they're durable, and then wear them in. Another thing to focus on for clothing is what are the elements in your area like. You should have a summer and winter setup that you have in your car per that time of year and location. And if you're in warmer climates that doesn't have these things called seasons, then obviously plan accordingly. So let's talk food and water. Again, what are your surroundings going to look like most likely? Are you surrounded by water and a simple filtration system will do? Or are you in the desert where water will be very much needed? I have water around me personally, but not the cleanest, and I would definitely need some kind of filtration setup to be safe in my neck of the woods. So I personally have used those membrane Solutions Life Straw, those blue ones you see before, and it got the job done. But recently one of you told me about the Sawyer products, little mini water filtration system, and it seems like most people like these as well. So I'm going to personally try it out and see what I think next. They are a little smaller and be easier to put into a bag, so I'll let you know what I think about that one. I think either is better than nothing, obviously. One thing I also do is have a bottle of water with me, kind of regardless, just a little half-gallon tank, but also having a gallon of water in your trunk is a no-brainer, and it's so cheap. A gallon of water from the store costs less than nothing and can be easily stored for short amount of times in your vehicle, and this can be used obviously for drinking water, but to clean wounds and wash hands, etc. So look into that for your vehicle. So for food in my bag, what I have are these. They're called Grizzly Gear Emergency Food Rations. They're not the healthiest thing in the world, but they have 3,600 calories and somewhat of a small amount of room. Some people prefer those MRIs, which are definitely light and pretty easy to use, but they do require water and some kind of heat source typically. It's not my favorite for a vehicle bag, so you can choose obviously what you please, but I would have something like these that don't require a ton of tools to create, and in case of emergency, I would think easy to eat and full of calories for fuel. If you have any other items, maybe something that is just as easy but maybe healthier, I would love to hear your recommendations below because I'm always looking to update things on my end. So comment down below and let me know what you would use. Now, what if you run into danger of any kind? When people are desperate, they change. You have to be aware that others won't be as prepared as you. Some have never thought about these situations like this ever in their life, and they're going to have to come to you for help, whether that's by asking or by force. You'll always have those vultures who are opportunistic predators looking to take advantage of those of you that come off as prey as well. So having a way to protect yourself from those looking to do you harm is a must. I personally think if you're mentally sound human, you should learn to and practice using a firearm. I personally use a Glock 19, but there's so many different options to choose from that you can carry day to day and be in a position of defense versus being a victim. I mean, if you're watching this video, my bet would be that you already do, own something like that to some degree. But for those who don't, just know that this shouldn't be something that scares you. Taken seriously, very much so, but there are plenty of people that teach gun knowledge and safety that can help you go from never holding a firearm in your life to being able to use it proficiently and confidently, and before you know it, you have an ultimate equalizer to any situation. I also have a knife as well for both protection, but also just for any kind of situation that needs it. But thanks to you and some of your comments from my last video about a bug out bag, I'm going to change this from a folding knife to a non-folding knife to reduce that added step, which is a good tip for any of you looking into one. I've always used the Daniel Defense folding knife, but again, that's one extra step, which could be the difference. Now, you could always go with a pepper spray or bear spray, but the biggest issue with this is in order for those to work, your attacker would need to be within striking distance to be effective, and that's assuming they don't also have a firearm as well, and you typically end up being in the spray yourself and disarming yourself as well. So would it be better than nothing? For sure, but again, we aren't talking about just a regular old picnic day at the park. We're talking about your livelihood here, so choose wisely. So find a firearm or some kind of self-defense item that you can easily conceal, is lightweight, and can carried for a long distance, and maybe more than anything, find something you're going to actually learn and understand how to use if need be. So we need to add a few more items for this to be a bug out bag that will be effective and lightweight enough to carry and leave in a car. So let's add a few more items to this, items that I actually strongly recommend, and I'll add a few links in the description if you want to add them yourself. But number one, having a system of first aid is always a must. From band-aids to Advil to bandages to tourniquets. These could all make the difference of someone near you making it or not in certain situations, and are pretty easy to store in your bag. Number two, having some kind of protection from the elements. And again, like we said earlier, know your elements and know the time of year you're in. But things like a sleeping bag, a tent, or a heat blanket would be a must. I would strongly recommend having these in your pack so that if you need to lay low for a few days, you aren't worried about the weather, and the difference of you staying safe. Number four, another necessary item is having some sort of navigation system ready to use, like a map or a compass. Now, where I live, I'm confident that I could find my way home regardless of where I'm at for the most part, just because of the landmarks around me. But I would 100% have one of these, one of the two, if I was new to the area or not confident in getting my way around landmarks. If nothing else, you have them, and I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right? And I'm also going to add this one in here because you never know if you'll help or not, but laying low could be super effective in your situation, so having some kind of a camouflage is a must for my personal take. I recommend one of the following, and these are a little untraditional. You're not going to see this on other channels, so just kind of bear with me here. The first one I call Homeless Joe. If you need inspiration for this one, watch one of the latest fashion shows and add it to your arsenal. You'll blend into the rest of the zombies walking around, and feel free to add a little tasteful grunt here and there to make sure no one will approach you. And the farther you lean forward or backward, the more distance you'll get. Now, the next one's called Trash Bag Bob. This is where you wear a collection of garbage bags and lay near the nearest trash pile and just hide out for a few days. No one's going to approach you, and the occasional dog will start sniffing around you, but sounds like free food to me. Finally, Bushman Sam. This is where you wear a ghillie suit, and again, like Trash Bag Bob, you find a nice landscape and lay around for a few days and enjoy your peace and quiet while you watch the chaos continue from afar. And guys, we just hit 1,400 subscribers. That's incredible to me.
Wow.
So any kind of feedback for me, any ideas you have to make this channel better, I always love to hear from you.
Tell me!
But if nothing else, stay safe out there and stay ready, and we'll see you on the next one.